Good morning, culinarians. It's Girls Soup Smith, and today we're going to do a couple quick and easy recipes. The first one we're doing is a rhubarb freezer jam that I've come to use with my rhubarb. So what you're going to need for this recipe are however much rhubarb you can harvest. I've got about 12 ounces here. So based on a 1 cup recipe, you're going to need a cup of sugar. Being that I only have 12 ounces of rhubarb, I'm only going to use about 3/4 of a cup of sugar, 2 tablespoons of water, and a half teaspoon of cayenne pepper. So first you're going to want to cut up your rhubarb into bite-sized pieces. Ingredients in a pot over medium-high heat. And stir until the sugar is dissolved. It's going to be a couple minutes. Once your jam has reached a applesauce consistency, you're going to want to taste it. You don't want to add too much sugar to this recipe because you really want that sour tartness from the rhubarb to shine through. I like the addition of the cayenne to give it sort of the balance of all the flavors. This is good. Now you're going to want to transfer the jam to your containers. I just use old containers from dip or sour cream, things of that nature. And you can store this in the freezer to set, and then afterwards you can thaw them out in the fridge. They will stay for about a month in the fridge or about 6 months in the freezer. For our lemon curd, we're going to need the yolks of 5 eggs. The whites you can save for making an omelet or meringue. We're going to need 1 cup of brown sugar, the juice and zest of 4 lemons. It should be about 3/4 of a cup of juice. If you need to add water to get it to 3/4 of a cup, you can. And then I also have some grated ginger to give it some flavor, and a cup or 1 stick of butter cut into pieces. We're going to add in later. We want to make sure that's very cold, so we'll throw it in the fridge right now. We're going to need a metal bowl that we're going to be mixing in, a pot with about 1 inch or so of water in it, and a metal whisk. Also, it's important that the bowl be able to sit on top of the pot. So we're going to go ahead and put this pot on the stove on a medium-high heat. When you need to juice a lemon, if you microwave it for about 10 seconds and then roll it on a cutting board, you'll find that it juices a lot easier. Just place your hand on top of it and roll it back and forth a couple times, and then you'll find that it juices very easily. So I always crack my eggs in another container first. And you're going to separate the yolks from the whites. You do this one of 2 ways. Using the shell, gently crack it open, and you're going to pour the shell back and forth with the yolk, and you should be able to separate out the white from the yolk. It's very important to keep them separate. Another method that I've heard and I want to test here is that you crack it into a container, then using a plastic water bottle, you can use the bottle to suck in the yolk. This does work. It does make a mess of the yolk, so if you're trying to keep them intact, I don't recommend this method. Add in the sugar, and we're going to whisk these until smooth. It'll take you about a minute to get it until it's got a smooth consistency. There you go. Now we're going to add the juice and the lemon zest and ginger and whisk it smooth once again. It'll be fairly thin at this point. Once the water has reached roughly 180 degrees or simmering temperature, we can turn it down to low and start the hardest part of this recipe. We're going to be stirring continuously for 8 minutes. We'll place the pot on top and just stir, stir, stir. You're going to stir until it reaches the nappe stage, where it's going to be thickened and a light yellow, and it'll coat the back of a spoon. That's what the term nappe means. It may take a little bit longer. Mine did. You got to make sure you have a decent heat to it. You're going to turn it off, and I'm going to show you how to nappe now. It's going to be a little difficult with one hand, but so you're going to run your finger across the back of the spoon, and if the line of bubbles stays where it is, or I think that was just because I mixed a lot, it's going to stick, and you see it don't sliding down the spoon at all. That's the French term nappe, or to coat the back of a spoon. Now you're going to get your butter from the fridge and adding one at a time. You're going to stir them in and mix them until they dissolve before you add in the next. I know it's going to be tempting to use an electric mixer for this or to put all the butter in at once, but really you got to do it by hand, and you got to put them in one at a time. If you use the electric mixer, it's going to end up over whipping it, and if you put them all in at once, it's going to cool them down way too quickly, and it's not going to get the proper emulsification to it. Give it a few more mixes just to be sure that all the butter is melted and mixed in properly. You're going to have following this recipe, it's going to be a little bit darker than your traditional lemon curd, but I like the flavor of brown sugar better. You're welcome to use white sugar if you want to get that bright, vibrant color, and then you can put it into a container. Just use the spatula to get out all the bits. You can use this for just about anything. You can use it, put on top of your scones or cakes, various things. One more thing you want to do is make sure that you coat the container you put it in with plastic wrap, and press the plastic wrap right on top of the curd. This is Grella Soupsmith, reminding you to always cook what you like and like what you cook. And Ronnie Meowsy, reminding you to cook what you like and like what you cook.